Happy 20th anniversary to the PS2. Man, talk about feeling old. The PS2 might be my favorite console ever. There's no doubt in my mind that this is the console which turned me into the gamer I am today. I played the PS1 at a friend's house, yes, and I made sure to game on the PC beforehand, but the PS2 is the first console I ever owned for myself, and the memories I have with it are some of the best I ever had as a gamer. The number of games and franchises I got into thanks to the PS2 is quite frankly amazing. Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, God of War, Kingdom Hearts, though that one did cause me a headache later in life. And all of those are just to name a few. But the first of these new franchises to greet me was also one of the very first games released on the system. A little franchise called Jak and Daxter. Brought to us by the famous people responsible for Crash Bandicoot and Uncharted, and the infamous people responsible for The Last of Us Part 2, Jak and Daxter was sort of a transitional franchise for Naughty Dog. While the first game was bright, colorful and silly, the series later on became darker, more serious and even more adult. No doubt one of the weirder changes in tone for a platformer, 2 whole years before letting a Sonic the Hedgehog character fire a gun and curse. Main difference, however, is that Jak and Daxter remained good after the change, and even found clever ways to tie it into the story and keeping the original's humor and charm around. Speaking of that, there's one element of Jak and Daxter which always remained the same, the one thing which never changed throughout the whole series and was kept, mostly, intact all the way through. That element, unsurprisingly, is the one and only true hero of this entire story, Dexter. No, I'm not joking, and I better not considering the title for this video. Dexter has always been my favorite character in the series, maybe even my favorite character to be born on the PS2. True, he was an obnoxious and egotistical loudmouth, but he was also hilarious, caring deep down, and even a big mood for the people playing the game. He's so awesome that he even got his own game, which was still not ported to home consoles. Can someone get on it already? But yeah, I love Dexter. So I thought, what better way to celebrate 20 years of this lovable asshole, and his more grounded sidekick I guess, than talk about why I love him oh so much. And I feel that the best place to start is none other than his voice.
Oh no, not you!
You've probably heard about Max Casella in your life, be it as Benny Fazio in The Sopranos, Paul Marco in the biographical movie about Ed Wood's life, and Timon in the original Broadway production of The Lion King. Ironic, I know. But despite a varying resume, I honestly think Daxter is his best role ever. He has this scratchy and cynical tone to him that you'd expect to hear coming out of such a tiny and sarcastic creature who's always frustrated by how he sees himself as the smartest guy in the room.
May I remind you that this team of Daxter, Jak and Daxter have taken on just about every scary thing this world can throw at us for 3, count 'em 3, adventures!
His screams and moments where he's angry about a predicament, even if it's ridiculous, are on point.
Jak! Are you crazy? You ruined my story!
His comedic timing on lines which wouldn't necessarily be funny on paper turned them into laugh-out-loud moments.
Jak, next time you invite me to one of your little parties, don't!
And on top of it all, he can still pull off legit dramatic moments of concern and worry.
Is that... No, it couldn't be. That's not...
Max Casella's performance is such a big part of this character, to the point I can't see any other actor in this role unless they are trying to do a one-on-to-one impression of Casella. Hell, him coming back to voice the role and being as committed to it as an actor could get is one of maybe 2 things that The Last Frontier did right, but let's not talk about it now. I'm still surprised that throughout all of my research, I could never find an interview with Mr. Casella about this character. He's voiced him so many times and is so identified as the role that I'm surprised I never saw him talk about it. The closest we have is that behind the scenes recording of the Jak X opening. Someone get this guy to do an interview about Daxter already. It's the only thing which can make it perfect. But okay, the voice acting is great. That applies to all the other characters in the series. What exactly makes Dexter stand out as the best one? Well, for starters, I'd say confidently that he's the most multi-layered character in this entire franchise. Don't get me wrong, the other characters have their moments to shine as characters and allow them to go beyond what you would expect from them, but Dexter is easily the one who's not only the biggest personality, but the one with the most personality. Let's start with the basics. As established earlier, Dexter is the walking definition of an asshole. He's loud, rude, egotistical to the point he is taking all the credit for Jak's hard work, he's very much chauvinistic, and let's not mention that his priorities aren't really the best priorities. Honestly, on the surface, Dexter is probably one of those people who you'd hate in any other game. But notice that I said on the surface, because deep down, he's not any of those things. True, the traits I mentioned earlier are the ones most people get to see, but you'd also notice that oftentimes Dexter would go against what we would commonly expect him to do. When push comes to shove, he's very carried and appreciative of Jak, despite often wanting to make it clear he's the one running the show.
Oh, and I let Jak tag along too.
When Jak gets captured at the start of Jak 2, Dexter makes it his mission to save his best friend and is even distraught once he finds him.
I've been looking for you for 2 years! Say something! Just this once!
True, Dexter did lollygag into his own adventure during those 2 years, but he still rescued Jak, and even agrees as soon as they escape to help him find Praxis and take him down. Dexter also cares about Jak to the point of protecting and standing up for him during emotional situations. This really comes into the light throughout Jak 3, where we see Dexter voluntarily sticking with Jak after he was banished from Haven City, despite not being banished himself. Dexter could have gone back to the city, but he didn't because of how much he cares for his best friend. There's another small moment which I really like where Damus asks Jak about his father.
Didn't your father ever tell you to pick your battles wisely?
I didn't know my father.
See that little wave Dexter did? Alongside his concerned face? He knows Jak didn't know his father. He knows that this is a touchy subject for him. So like any other good friend, he's doing his best to avoid making Jak sad. It might be a quick comic relief moment, but it says a lot about who Dexter is deep down. And then, of course, we have this great moment.
After him, Jak!
You're willing to go down there? Without a fuss this time.
Yeah, well, don't get used to it. It's just that nobody hurts my best friend and lives to brag about it. Let's get him!
For the first time in the franchise, really, Dexter willingly volunteers to go with Jak into a dangerous and unknown place because some asshole hurt Jak. Yeah, Daxter, the same guy who would always throw a fit or a tantrum about heading straight into danger and might even underplay Jak's role in surviving, agrees to head into this dangerous place without knowing if he'll survive to tell the tale. Why? Because the prick who made fun of Jak for losing his father, not knowing he was his father all along, needs to pay for his actions. Dexter is also concerned when he thinks Jak died on the Darkmaker's ship, and again volunteers to help Jak take down Errol, knowing how much it will mean to him. These are some best friends' goals, people!
I'm proud of you, Dax.
Really?
Yeah, you did great.
No, we did great. Right, partner?
That might be the best time to mention that Jak and Daxter have some great banter with each other, even when Jak doesn't speak. Daxter is the talkative one, as we established, and even after Jak begins to speak, he remains the quiet of the two. We've seen this dynamic work before in other media, and yet I feel like it's at its best with these two. If Daxter balances Jak's quiet side, Jak definitely balances Daxter's loud side, often making fun of him or letting him know he's going too far. And yet, despite their opposites, they are also plenty similar, and it's quite clear both of them not only care for each other in that brotherly way, but they also enjoy each other's company and play off each other's snark.
Got it. Where would you be without me, eh, Dax?
Well, Jak, I probably wouldn't be 2 feet tall, fuzzy, and running around in a sewer without a pair of pants. God, I miss pants.
Back to the Orange Lightning himself, I mentioned how Dexter can also be chauvinistic before, and yeah, he ain't a saint here.
That ain't no bug.
In fact, I think he objectified every woman character in this series except Onin, who I'm pretty sure only got a pass due to her age and Pecker annoying the shit out of him. But again, I feel like this is an act he's performing in order to make himself look like much more of a big shot than he actually is. Why would I think this? Because of Tess.
Oh, Daxter, you're amazing.
Yeah, I know. Scratch me there.
Yeah, he makes sure to inspect certain parts of her, and more often than not, he'll take advantage of her innocent beliefs of his tales by asking for back scratches and the like. But you can tell he legit cares about her when they're reunited in Jak 3, where you see their love for each other is mutual. Also, the first thing he does once Tess turns into an asshole is express his love for her by kissing her. Don't know about you guys, but I think he's legit. Yeah, this isn't the first time a character hides its true softer colors underneath a rougher and, in Dexter's own mind, much more badass disguise, and yet Dexter manages to remain interesting and much more appealing than some other examples. Not only does it make his jokes funnier after you realize this is essentially a giant dork who wants to sell himself as da shit, but it also succeeds in lending a type of humor which could make certain people groan and not care at all.
We took it to that robot goon and kicked his nuts and bolts.
And now we come to the third reason to why I love Dexter oh so much, his character arc. If you ask me, Dexter is the character with the biggest arc in this series. That's not to discredit other characters' arcs like Jak discovering himself in each game, and Kira growing her self-confidence, and that's just to name a few. But even so, Dexter stands above all as the character who's gone through the most meaningful and lore-based character arc in the games. Do I need to explain myself? Yes? Well, let's go. Just like Jak, Dexter starts as your everyday teenager who goes against their authority figure by exploring a forbidden land. Only difference is that Jak is brave and confident while Dexter is a talkative coward. By mistake, he falls into a pool of dark eco and comes out as an asshole. A combination of an otter and a weasel. Wanting to transform back into a human, if the long years even make these people human, I don't know, Dexter accompanies Jak in an adventure to find the sage named Gol, who is the only person who has a chance to turn him back.
Are you gonna keep yapping, or are you gonna help me out of this mess?
Throughout the game, Dexter doesn't do much in terms of the journey, aside from nagging you about the situations you encounter and making fun of you if you die.
Don't worry, I'll avenge you! Not?
He's quite literally a backseat driver who doesn't do much in order to help Jak change him back. The twist comes, however, when it turns out the same Gol who may be able to transform Dexter back is the same bad guy who we see captured the other sages and caused our heroes so much trouble, now wanting to reshape the world as villains usually do. Dexter isn't happy about this.
Wait a minute! That was Gol? The same Gol who's supposed to change me back? Gol is the guy trying to kill us? I'm doomed.
Yet when our heroes encounter the Light Eco and realizing it can help them defeat Gol, Dexter must make a choice.
Stay fuzzy, save the world. Choices.
The fact he has to think about this is hilarious for the record, but despite his obnoxious nature and honest hatred for most people they met throughout the journey, he sacrifices his chance to transform back to himself in order to save the world. Just from this first game, we can see how multi-layered Daxter is, and that despite the cynical asshole he pretends to be, he does have a heart. Jak 2 and his own game show this by presenting a Daxter who may still master the sass, but is also caring about his friend from the start, and he has more confidence in his abilities in his new form in order to clear Haven City from its past problem and save Jak from Baron Praxis. This second game also presents Dexter as a much more active member in Jak's team, as he helps Jak in certain missions, drives in a race to meet Praxis, and is even playable in some missions. I already talked about how well Jak represents Daxter's character, but I didn't mention the best part about it, which is why I'm doing it now. In what is probably the best and most hilarious plot twist in the history of... honestly ever, we discovered that these so-called precursors who shaped this world as the characters know it and supposedly vanished from it are Azos. Just like Daxter.
They look like me?
Turns out that these furballs, despite being the most powerful and advanced creatures in the universe, fear that the people of the world won't acknowledge them for their achievements because of their size, and made up some urban tale regarding their disappearance. As to why Daxter looks like them, the precursors explain that each type of eco has a touch of their essence inside of it, and when Daxter made contact with it, he ended up being blessed by becoming a precursor due to his supposed good nature. He may not actually be a precursor just because of his appearance, but he might as well be considering he and Jak saved the world like 3 times, so in a way, yeah, Daxter is a precursor through and through. He didn't create the world, yes, but he sure took part in saving it. He may have been a backseat driver through most of the games, but he always made the right decisions, and he was still an active part of many missions which were important to saving the world. Well, how about that? From a simple kid to a godlike creature walking the earth. He might be an asshole on the outside, but the sympathy, care, and bravery he's trying so hard to hide from the people around him ended up changing him, quite literally, for the better. How's that for a character journey? And also he gets the pants he was missing. That's most important. That was Dexter in the main trilogy, but how about the spin-offs? Well, I briefly mentioned his own game earlier, and what a way to let his character shine. Dexter isn't only in the spotlight during his own game, and not only does he end up saving the day, but we see that even after years of trying to find Jak and sometimes given the impression he had given up, he still kept searching.
I keep thinking I've forgotten to do something. You know, something important. I can't help but think... Jak! That's it! Hang on, buddy! I gotta go, Toots. Talk to you later. Over and out! 10-4, or whatever.
Despite being discouraged and maybe even holding a grudge towards Jak being semi-responsible for his change, he still risked his life to save his best friend. And right after he did that, what did he do? Went on another long and dangerous adventure with his best friend he now saved, fully committing to giving the Baron who tortured Jak a good old beating. The story in Jak X isn't really grand or big as the main trilogy, but it does its job fine enough, and when it comes to our beloved Orange Show-Off, he's still around to bring in the humor we'd expect out of him.
Good? Listen, Rain Baby, we've been chased, attacked, shot at, poisoned, and blown up! How could it get any worse?
Hello, ankle biters.
It's worse.
Speaking of spin-offs, should I bring up the crossovers? They are not canonical in any way, but you know what? Daxter's in them, so yeah, let's give them a quick look. It is Daxter's 20th anniversary, after all. The first thing I should say about PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale is that it's actually a really fun game, and the people who bash on it just because it's a worse Smash copy need to loosen up. It can still be a fun game, and guess what? Daxter isn't in Smash, so that's already a point that game will never have. But as for Daxter himself, well, he's attached to Jak, so there isn't much to talk about him individually. And the writing is really off and rushed because I guess who would care about the story in this kind of game? That's true for the most part, but if you're gonna give me that long-awaited fight between Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank, I'd expect a bit more motivation than "you looked at us wrong." At least Max Casella still rocks this mediocre motivation.
Weasel creature!
Next up we have PlayStation Move Heroes, in which I believe Dexter has a much better role. Again, the potential of having these characters made up is really underutilized, but Dexter himself? He's still the same character. I love how he's the first one of those 6 to actually figure out something's wrong.
I don't trust those guys.
His lack of brains might put him in a disadvantage to the other sidekicks, but he still plays a part in helping them out.
Like an eye listen to Daxter.
You can see it in their shifty eyes. Also, I heard their plan.
I love how he doesn't count his fans as actual fans, again adding to his misplaced ego.
These are fans?
And if you played the game, the final mission is only his. He destroys the weapon. Thanks to him, everyone wins. Also, I just love how he wants nothing to do with Bendy and Clank by the end of this. Just wait to make friends and then ignore them like a true introvert. Well, I think I'm just about done since there was no Jak 4 and the other spin-offs don't have much of a story, so I guess I can... Oh right, yeah, this happened. So, Jak and Daxter, The Last Frontier... Yeah, let's not cut around the bush, this game sucks. It's slow, it's boring, it does none of the characters justice. It was announced on April Fool's Day, which should be enough of an implication to how much of a pathetic joke this game is. And I'd easily call it the Sonic 06 of Jak and Daxter. Hell, it might be worse than Sonic 06 because it quite frankly killed this franchise. But okay, I can make a whole video about why this game sucks. Let's focus on Daxter's part in it. For the most part, Daxter is the same lovable prick that you'd come to expect. Hell, the game starts with him outright admitting he got dragged into this adventure, and he isn't happy about it.
Why did I go on this crazy quest with you guys?
I can definitely relate to that. His dialogue may not be as sharp as the older games, but he still gets a chuckle every once in a while.
Okay, orange, yes. Soft, well-conditioned fur, check. Body odor, no worse than usual. Small, cute, cuddly face. Ah, I'm back. I'm me again. Thank the precursors.
He's a mechanic now, which I honestly don't mind. It's nice to see him acquiring new skills which serve him in the field. I'd even say he's the only returning character who's somewhat like his older self, and the story didn't... Right, I keep forgetting about this part. Jak Daxter is stupid. Jak Daxter is the stupidest idea ever conceived by any game development studio ever. And this is coming from a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. I've seen my fair share of stupid ideas. You know what? All the people who thought Sonic the Werehog was a stupid idea, you better apologize to the Werehog because Jak Daxter has that beat. First of all, the design. What is this? Is this how a darker and more badass Daxter gonna look? Seriously? He looks like a combo of a rabid tiger and Dogbound from the 2012 Ninja Turtles series. It's ridiculous. Secondly, Dexter gets this form by coming into contact with the Dark Eco. Again, this is the best reason you could come up with. Newsflash, high impact games. Dexter already came in contact with Dark Eco. That's the reason he's an Atzel to begin with. Is this really the next evolutional step? What happened to his blessing? Is this what the Dark Makers from Jak 3 look like? How can such a stupid idea cause so many problems? Even Dexter hates this form. He says it, not me.
I just turned into a huge slobbering Dark Eco monster who has even worse BO than I do!
But okay, I'm officially done. I went over everything I can regarding Daxter. And my opinion, if it wasn't obvious, hasn't changed. He's still my favorite character from the PS2 era, and I think I did a pretty good job explaining why that is. As of the time of this video, there's no sight of a new Jak and Daxter game, and I doubt Sony is going to surprise us during the franchise's 20th anniversary. Is it a shame? Hell yeah, it's a shame. But at the same time, I'm happy that I have all of those games and stories to fall back on and remind me just how much I enjoy this character. Will I ever embark on another adventure with this arrogant softie? I guess only time will tell. But until then, I'll try and be like Daxter and enjoy the good things I have right now. Happy 20th anniversary, Daxter. I'll now leave you with some words of wisdom from the Atzel himself.
Big things come in small packages.
Also, happy 20th anniversary to Jak. He's pretty cool too.